everyone, welcome back to the Benton Valley Railway. I haven't done one of these vlogs for quite a while because I've been quite busy with my allotment doing some vlogs on them, and we're going away on holiday. Now it's the summer months, and normally I do my railway during the winter times when I can't get out so much. But I've had a lot of comments on my actual website blog of people having trouble with the CMRI and the connections, the initial connections from JMRI to the Arduino using CMRI connections. Probably because my website, although it showed you how to do it, it wasn't that in depth on the wiring connections, probably slightly not showing it properly. And the setup on JMRI, there's a couple of little settings, especially the speed of the bandwidth connections, which I didn't show, which might be one of the reasons why people got not getting connections. So I've decided to do this video now to show you this connection more in depth. So this is purely just the basic setup for CMRI. So anyone that's already got their systems up and running, that probably won't want to watch this video. But any new people coming onto it that are trying to get this set up, this probably hopefully will be beneficial to you, and hopefully clear up some of the issues. And if you don't get these connections done, you can't progress to any of the next parts of the stages. For the rest of my railway, I'll do another vlog on that later on, because I'm going to be changing quite a bit, probably doing the whole layout, and I'm going to video the whole lot this time. I will be progressing with the turntable. Haven't done a lot, but there's some bits and pieces that I've got going on that, just to give you an insight. I haven't got it in here actually, but I've got a metal Lazy Susan ring now. If you look them up, you'll find them. It's probably outside my bag, and I've got a turntable, part of the turntable, part for where the train's going. So anyway, so this is digressing away from this part of the video. So the first thing I'll do is I'll show you a drawing that I've done of the wiring dot drawing, which I've just drawn on a piece of paper. So hopefully this will come out in the camera. So I'll grab the camera to show you this, and we're coming near. Hopefully this comes out. It's flicking on my screen, so it might not work, but we'll soon find out. Otherwise I'll do a drawing of this on my blog, but I'll just talk through it anyway for now. So first thing you've got is you've got the USB to the RS485 over here, which is the part that plugs into your computer, and it has an A and a B connection on the outside of it here. And then you've got the TTL to RS485 module over here. Now the connections between these two is A to A and B to B, so it's exactly straight across. There's no crossing over of the connections, A to A and B to B. And then this TTL module has a 5-volt positive supply and a ground supply, which would probably be coming from a separate supply and not from your Arduino. You could do it on your Arduino as long as you're powering your Arduino with a power supply, but if you're powering your Arduino with a USB, I'm not sure whether it would work, so you'll probably do it on separate supplies. And as soon as you're doing a railway, you'll have a lot of supplies anyway. So they're on separate supplies. But the only thing you do need to remember is if this is on a separate supply, this ground here has to go across to your Arduino ground as well. And I'll show you all this in a minute when I've got showing mine connected up. But that ground to ground, it's got to be connected together for this to work. Some people might say they get those working without that ground, and it might do, but you will get errors over time, and you will get errors with other parts of your railway, because they do like to have a common ground when you're doing the programming. Right, coming out of the TTL module, you have an RO, an RE, a DE, and a DI. Now the RE and the DE are connected together. So you just join a link to join them two together. And then you have an RO go across to your Arduino RX, that's the pin 0. So it's RO to pin 0. The DI, which is at the bottom here, goes across to your TX pin 1. So DI to pin 1 of your Arduino. And the RE and DE, which join together, go to pin 2, which is defined in the programming to be pin 2. Now this is makes no difference whether you're doing an Uno or a Mega. You're using pins 0, 1 and 2 on either Arduinos that you use. And so that's basic electrical connection. So hopefully that clears that up. And what I'll do now is I'll show you my actual electrical connection, which is over here. It's a bit of a mess because this is just a mock-up. Right, so first thing is the USB to RS485 module, and at the bottom of these you'll have the pins A and B. They're not going to come out that clear on here, but the orange cable there is my pin A and the yellow cable there is my pin B, and they're going into my TTL module over here. And again, the orange cable is the pin A and the yellow cable is the pin B. I did say that right, didn't I? Yep. And so they're just going straight in there. Now you're using this terminal bar for this connection. Don't use the pins that come up from the bottom because they don't connect through. So it's always done from the terminal bar on this module, particular module. And then underneath here, because I've got this on a piece of circuit board, I've got my positive and negatives coming out from underneath, as you can see, which then go to my power supply up here, which is set to 5 volts, positive and negative. Now the negative side, what it's talking about, is I've got this jumper lead from a negative, which connects to my ground pin on my Arduino. So I've connected the negatives together. And then at the bottom, you have the, I can't really show it that well, but I have linked across the DE and RE link in there. There's a little tiny link in there you probably might not be able to see. This camera isn't focusing that well. And then I've got the pins coming out, like I said, the DI, the RE, DE, the RO, which are going into these pins on my Mega, exactly the same as the drawing. So they're just plugged into there, and this, like I said, is a Mega Arduino. And then I've got an LED connected up with a resistor, because hopefully that'll show it a bit better than the onboard LED, because there's more lights on the LED, onboard that light up with the RX and TX lighting up. So I've put an LED in there to show you this all setting up. So that's the wiring side of everything. So I'll just put the camera down. Right, what I'll do now is I'll get rid of me off the screen, and I'll bring up the JMRI on the screen to show you how I do the setup of the JMRI. Right, so first things first, I've got it all connected up now and powered up. So my power supply, which you can't see in the videos over in the corner here, is switched on, giving it 5 volts, which is supplying my TTL with the 5 volts. The grounds are connected, like I said earlier, and the Arduino is being powered off a USB, which is connected to a USB power supply. It's not connected to my actual computer. Now the reason why I'm doing that is to stop any conflicts in communication between the RS485 and plugging this in at the same time. Now you can do that, but if you're setting up for your first time, you've never done this before, try and power your Arduino with a separate supply so you're not getting 2 COM ports running at the same time. When you get used to it and it's all up and running, you can have both connected up, and I actually program my Arduinos with like this so they're permanently connected. So I can program the Arduino and I can control the system on the JMRI using TTL, this TTL and RS485 setup. So basically it's exactly the same as what I said earlier. The only difference now is that the Arduino is being powered from the USB power supply. So I'll bring up the panel JMRI now, panel Pro, to show you the connections. Now my connections are probably already connected, but I'll show you how I do them. So when you first start up your panel Pro, you'll probably get a warning saying there's no connections. So it'll probably be red here in this area here, and it'll be saying there's no connections, or it'll be asking you to go to preferences to set up a connection. If you set up something before and it's not asking for that because you connected to something, then you'll have to go to preferences yourself, which is quite easy to go to edit, and then at the bottom of edit is preferences. Now this is the connection window. I'll just maximize this up. So you can have many connections up here, because you can put a plus on there and you can add as many as you like, and all these connections can be to other systems like DC++ or DCC++, whatever it is, and other setups that you might have on your model railway. And so if you have got them connected up, that's not a problem. We're just going to set up a new connection. But if you have any conflicts, to eliminate any conflicts, to make sure that CMRI is working on its own, you can click this little tag down the bottom that says disable this connection on all of them, rather than just deleting them, or you can delete them and put them back in, which is what I'm going to do because I've just set these up. So I'll just get rid of them. So we only have the one connection. So at the top of the drop down menus, and this is the same as my website, most of this being normal, most of you will probably be getting this right, but the top one is the C/MRI. And then the next one is serial, because we're doing a serial connection. And then down the bottom here, you'll be clicking your COM port, which on mine is COM5, that's where I'm plugged into on USB. And I'll show you where this is, where you can find this on your computer in a minute. So we'll come back to this. But if you've been uploading from your Arduino, you'll probably have it as the COM port that you've been using Arduino. But like I say, I'll show you where you get that in a minute. The connection prefix, leave it as C or whatever yours has got in it. I've not changed that, never had to change it, so I wouldn't know whether you have to. The connection name can be whatever you like. Mine's just the same as what they've given you. And this little tag here where it says additional connection settings, this is the one that I haven't shown anyone on my website or the previous vlogs, because mine's all worked and I've not really had any problems apart from once, and I remember doing this. So if you tick on that little box, it brings up the baud rate. Now I'll just bring up the Arduino code as well, so it's start up. So our baud rate is 9600 BPS, and as you can see there's loads of others, and yours might be set to this 57600, and if it is, you're never going to get a connection. So that's one, well, you get a connection but it's not running at the right speed, so you're never going to get communication. So you need to drop that down to 9600. So that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this video, because a lot of people probably haven't done that. And then you save this settings, so you've got it all set up. Just get rid of this. So that's just the actual connection saved, and JMRI will probably now ask you to restart Panel Pro. If it hasn't, leave it, so we set up the nodes, save, and then we'll do a reset. Now, two ways of doing the nodes. You could have either done it in the connection where it says configure node and click on that button to configure it, or if you come out of that and you want to get back into it some other way, click on the CMRI up here and then configure nodes. But basically you want to get into this configure node setup, and then I've already got mine set up here, but I'll just show you. You click add node, and I've said on my website that this will come up with either -1 or 0 in here when you first set up, and you need to change it to 1, because 1 is the address that we're using on our Arduino code. We've given it address 1. If you set up more in the future, you'll be given different addresses, but just for your initial setup it's 1. So set that to 1, click add nodes, which I won't do because I've already got it. Get rid of that, and it will give you this 1 S mini 24 3 6 24 48 select, whatever it is. So that needs to be set up as well. If you haven't set the node up, you won't have a connection, so that's another one to be done. And when you've done all that, save the settings, close JMRI down and restart it, and then you should have this in black saying the USB serial COM port 5 or whatever COM port yours was. And so you should have a connection. Now, finding your COM port. If you haven't found it off the Arduino IDE, go to your control panel, go to Systems and Security, go to Systems, then go to Device Manager, and within Device Manager, loads, you'll have your ports. So click on the ports, and you should have the port. If you've only got one thing plugged in, which is the RS485, that will be the COM that you're using. So as you can see, mine's CH340 COM5. So that's another way you can find your COM port that you need to know. Right, get rid of that. Right, so now looking at the Arduino code, and I've stripped this down, taken out the comments and everything else, so it's the minimum amount of code that I think we can go to. So at the top we need to include our libraries. Now you can Google this. I do think I might put it on the link on one of my videos, and if I can find them I'll put the link in below this video. So you need the library for the CMRI.h and the Auto485.h. And when you download these libraries, they might be in a zip file or something, you need to drag the whole folder across to where your Arduino folder is. So showing that, if I bring mine up, which won't be that, just to show you this part, documents. Now when you installed your Arduino, nowadays it's a little bit different because sometimes you can do it online as well, which I don't use, but I download the IDE for the Arduino, so it's on the actual computer. And so you have a folder called Arduino, and within that folder is the libraries. So double click on libraries, and this is where you drag and drop the folders for your CMRI and everything, which there's mine, Arduino CMRI.master, and there's the Auto485 master. So they're just folders that you drag and drop in there, restart your IDE for your Arduino, and you have your libraries done. These two parts of the code are just setting up two variables for the addresses. So like I said earlier, because we're using node 1, we've set CMRI address to 1, which just puts the 1 into here. Now you could actually put 1 in there and get rid of that top part. It just makes it more readable to leave it like that, so we know that we're address 1. And defining pin 2 is because we're using pin 2 on the Arduino, and that just puts a number 2 into here. Again, you could put a 2 in there, and then you can get rid of these 2 top parts of code, but I prefer to leave it there because it just makes it more readable to what we're doing. So they're just setting up 2 variables, and then we have the 485 bus DE pin, which I just said about. This just sets up the 485, and the CMRI library sets up the library for the CMRI, explaining it to it, what address it is, how many inputs and outputs, and the bus, which we're going to use in a minute. You don't really need to understand all this. You could just copy and paste this top part of code in, and that's it. You're done, really. Apart from if you want to add more CMRI on, you might need to know a bit more about the different addresses. But for now, just copy and paste it in. I've set up a variable called LED, which equals 13, because I'm using pin 13 on the Arduino board, and we're turning on the Arduino board LED, although I've got one plugged in as well. And I've given it a name LED. You can give it whatever name you like. Yeah, that's just part of the Arduino coding. I'm not going to go through how setting up variables. If you don't know this part, you need to learn a bit more about Arduinos. So the main setup then, we've got pin mode LED output, because we're making pin 13 an output on the Arduino, but for the CMRI purposes we're using bus.begin 9600. Now this is the 9600 I said about that we set up on the JMRI, and that drop down menu. Remember the preferences, the connections, and you had to pick out the 9600 just to make sure, so you ain't got to go back in the video. But this is under preferences, where I click on additional connections, and we had to do the drop down menu and set that to 9600. The reason why we've got to do that and make sure it's the same is because we're using a bus speed address here on the Arduino of 9600. Now I haven't tried different speeds. I remember once I had to try it because I had problems with my servos, so it's something you can play with, but that's why if you change this then to a different speed, and it'll have to correspond with this. So if you change this to the 57600, you'll have to make this 57600 and re-upload the code in the Arduino. It's very important that these 2 figures are the same, otherwise you'll have no connection at all, or speed connection, so it won't work. For the loop then, it's just basic CMRI.process to get the CMRI library running, and then we're digital writing the LED pin, which is pin 13, whatever bit that comes in from JMRI, which should be either 1 or 0. So if it's a 1, the LED will be on, and if it's 0, the LED will be off. And that's it. That's the basics of this code. I can't get it all into one screen, so hopefully you can either scroll down here and copy it off the video, or I'll put this on my blog and you can just copy and paste it from the blog. So now we should have all your connections done. You should have no red writing in here. You should have the COM port that you're connected to. We should have a node in here, and it should be connected to address 1. You should have all this set up. You should have your Arduino code set up. Your Arduino should be powered off a separate power supply. The USB power supply over here on the right on the screen. Your TTL should be powered up with a 5-volt power supply connected to the RS485, which is connected to the computer. And you should have a ground connection common between the Arduino and the power supply and your TTL. You must make sure them grounds are connected together as well. And then all the other connections are exactly the same as what I did in the drawing. And then you should really have connections. There should be no reason why it's not working. So click on Tools, click on Tables. We're going to do a light sensor. We're going to add an address, and in the drop down menu at the top you've got internal and CMRI. You might have more if you've got connections connected up, but we're looking at the CMRI connection. Our address is going to be 1001 because we're using the node address 1, and we're writing to bit 0, so we add 1 on. If you see my previous videos, it becomes 1. So it's 1001 for the initial. Just get this set up, and then you start looking at the other videos to see how the address system works. Give it whatever name you like. I'll just call it light. Call it whatever you like, and then click create. Get rid of that window, and I'll just bring this down so you can see the... Right, so over here is the Arduino with the little red LED. Hopefully this is shown on the video, and it's off at the moment. So if I click on, you can see the lights just come on, and on my board the lights have come on the board. If I click off, LED's gone off and the board light's gone off. So I do that again, on and off, on and off. And that's it really. So following that video, hopefully now I've cleared up some of the problems with the connections, some of the problems with wiring, and I'll get this on my vlog. And if anyone has any problems after this, I mean, you can email me and ask me, but if you follow this by the letter, I can't see any other reason. The only other, something else I was going to mention is when you're connecting up your RS485, and I just unplugged mine down the computer show. So when you're connecting this up, I've had to extend these cables from what I was showing you earlier to make them longer, so it goes straight from my PC to the TTL. Yeah. Now, switch the power supply off. So two things in. One of them, you can short these out, and I have burnt these out before. So make sure your wiring hasn't got no shorts on them, and this hasn't got hot. Because if it does, it's probably burnt itself out. You need to get a new one. The other thing is you can use USB extension wires if you've got to extend the length, which I haven't got around here. I did have one to show you, but here you go. Here's one. So you can use these USB extension wires. I'll just maximise this screen. Yeah, which will plug into here and extend this then by USB to another USB connection. But I have had a lot of problems with these. They're cheap rubbish sometimes, unless you buy expensive ones, and they don't always make the communication properly. They lose the communication across the cable length. I'm not sure why. It's probably because it's only wiring. It's probably the way it's twisted inside, a bit like when you get the Cat 5s, Cat 6 cables and stuff like that. So it's difference in the quality of communication. So I find it's better to extend this wire, which I've managed to run around my room, and I would say that's about 5 meters. I've run these at 5 meter lengths, and it's run pretty well. So that's one of the issues you might have as well. And the other issue, like I said, is you might burn that out. And if you have, you'll have to get another one. And for the price of them, you might need to get 2 of these and 2 of the TTLs, because I had bought cheap Chinese stuff all the time, and it doesn't work. And that goes with the Arduinos. I've had people online saying that they've bought the Megas, and 1 Megas works and 1 Mega hasn't worked. So if you're following this right way through and you're still not getting a connection right, and you're following all the code directly and everything I'm doing, then you've got to really start looking at the fact that the hardware you bought might be faulty. So that's it. Hopefully this helps you lot out. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and go to my vlog if you want to get the full code. I'll do the drawing picture of it as well. I'll get all that up this week. So hopefully this will be all up this week and helps some of the guys out that are struggling. Another thing I will try and do as well, someone's mentioned that they can't watch the YouTube videos. Not sure whether it's the country they're in or where they live or whatever, because it's all blocked. So for this video, I'm not going to be able to do this with all of them, I don't think, because of the size of my website. But for this video, I will try and get this video on my website as a non-YouTube video, so you can just watch it or download it direct. But there's no guarantee of me doing that, because I've never done it before. I'm running a WordPress site, and I'm not sure if I can embed a video into it that easily. But I'll give it a go, and if I can, then at least you'll be able to watch this video, which is much easier to watch a video than read through the blog. So yeah, that's it for today. Next thing I'll do is I'll show some of you guys my railway and my new plans, and see what you think about my new plans. If anyone wants to give me some comments on my new plans and how I'm going to go about it. But thanks for watching, and good luck to you lot on your railways at home.